This video was brought to you by Incogni. Today, North and South Korean tensions rise even higher. The UK agrees to hand over its last African colony, and Israel continues its invasion of Lebanon. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Friday the 4th of October, 2024. Tensions between North and South Korea are once again on the rise, with North Korea's Kim Jong-un vowing that his country would use nuclear weapons without hesitation if attacked by South Korea and the United States, and that in such circumstances, the permanent existence of Seoul and the Republic of Korea, i.e. South Korea, would be impossible. Kim's comments come after South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol urged the North to abandon the delusion that nuclear weapons could protect them, saying that if North Korea were to use nuclear weapons, it would invite a response by the US and South Korea that would spell the end of Kim's regime. Yoon was speaking on South Korea's Armed Forces Day, which saw a massive military ceremony that included the public unveiling of its Hunmu-5 ballistic missile, which is reportedly capable of penetrating deep into the earth and destroying underground bunkers. For context, South Korea's President Yoon, a conservative who took office in 2022, has pursued a stronger military alliance with the US and improved relations with fellow US ally Japan, much to North Korea's disliking. At the same time, North Korea has ramped up its testing of missiles and is increasingly engaged in nuclear saber-rattling. Just last month, North Korean state media released photos of a uranium enrichment facility for the first time, raising fears of Kim Jong-un's growing nuclear capabilities. Anyway, next week, the North Korean parliament, which largely acts as a rubber stamp to the regime, is expected to meet in order to discuss constitutional amendments suggested by Kim Jong-un, which would see North Korea remove all references to peaceful reunification with the South from its constitution, and declare the South its principal enemy. The parliament is also expected to codify new national borders, having rejected reconciliation with South Korea. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing on Monday. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Abused Viking, then consider joining the TLDR Daily membership program for just $1.99. Next up, the UK government has struck a deal with Mauritius that will see the UK hand over its last remaining African colony, the Chagos Islands, ending a more than half-century dispute. The Chagos Islands, which form the British Indian Ocean Territory, are a small ocean archipelago in the Indian Ocean that have a significant strategic value, with the main island of Diego Garcia being home to a US-UK military base. Now, before Mauritius gained independence from the UK in 1968, the islands were separated from Mauritius and formed into the British Indian Ocean Territory, so that the UK could retain control post-independence and enable the US to build a military base there. A process that also involved the forced displacement of the local Chagosian population. For years now, the UK government has been rejecting a series of rulings and international pressure to cede the islands to Mauritius. For example, the International Court of Justice decided in 2019 that the Chagos Islands had been unlawfully separated from Mauritius prior to independence, and that they should be completely decolonized. Finally, on Thursday, the UK's Labour government announced a deal with Mauritius that sees the UK recognise Mauritius's sovereignty over the archipelago. However, it allows the UK to continue exercising sovereignty over Diego Garcia for an initial period of 99 years, in order to ensure the continued operation of the US-UK military base. Now, for their part, the US has warmly welcomed the deal, with President Biden calling it historic. However, the UK opposition Conservatives, who actually initiated negotiations 2 years ago, have attacked the deal, saying that it amounts to the surrendering of British strategic interests. Now, the response from the Chagosian diaspora has been mixed, with one UK-based Chagosian group condemning the deal for excluding Chagosians from the negotiations over the islands. Now, we have a full video on this topic coming out on Saturday over on the TLDR UK YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed and check it out tomorrow morning. Next, Israel is continuing its ground invasion and bombing campaign of Lebanon, with airstrikes overnight on Thursday cutting off the main border crossing from Lebanon into Syria. The Israeli military said it targeted the border crossing in order to prevent it from being used by Hezbollah to smuggle weapons into Lebanon. In the past few weeks, the border crossing has also seen thousands of people fleeing into Syria. In fact, according to Lebanese government statistics cited by Reuters, more than 300,000 people, a vast majority of them Syrian, have crossed the border from Lebanon into Syria over the last 10 days in order to escape the escalating Israeli bombardment. Last night, Beirut was also rocked by massive Israeli airstrikes, including near the capital's international airport. Meanwhile, in southern Lebanon, where Israeli forces are on the ground, the Israeli military has called on Lebanese civilians to evacuate from more than 20 towns, saying that they should head north of the Orly River, which signals that Israel may expand its area of operation beyond the buffer zone designated by the UN after the 2006 war. Death tolls are continuing to rise too. Israel has confirmed that 9 of its soldiers have been killed while fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon so far, while Lebanese authorities say that more than 1,000 people have been killed in the past 2 weeks as part of Israel's bombing campaign. And the World Health Organization has said that at least 28 Lebanese healthcare workers were killed in a single 24-hour period earlier this week. Despite the escalation in Lebanon and the anticipation of an Israeli response to Iran's recent missile strike, US President Joe Biden says that he does not believe that there is going to be an all-out war in the region. Moving to Europe now, where Poland's defense minister, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, announced yesterday that the country will block Ukraine's accession into the European Union until it addresses the exhumation of the victims of the Volhynia massacre, a contentious historical issue between the two nations. The Ukrainian Institute of National Remembrance recently revealed plans for field research in 2025 regarding the Volhynia massacre, where Ukrainian nationalists killed an estimated 100,000 Poles and 5,000 Ukrainians between 1943 and 1946. While there are differing views within the Polish leadership on Ukraine's accession, the Polish minister said that there will be no consent for Ukraine to join the EU if it has not resolved the Volhynia issue. While Polish Prime Minister Andrzej Duda has been an ardent supporter of Ukraine amid the Russian invasion, Kosiniak-Kamysz expressed concern that Ukraine had overlooked Poland's military aid during the crisis. He argued that in order to join the EU, a nation must meet specific conditions, including addressing historic truths. The defense minister dismissed recent comments from Ukraine's former foreign minister, suggesting that such matters should be left to historians. Stating that past relations should be reconciled for future cooperation, Kosiniak-Kamysz emphasized the need for transparent conditions, adding that the failure to address the issue would foment anti-Ukrainian sentiment within the Polish society. And finally, in a historic move, the UK has become the first advanced economy to completely abandon coal, following the closure of Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station, the last coal-fired plant in the country. The facility in Nottinghamshire officially ceased operations on Monday, with employees remaining on site for a 2-year decommissioning process. Coal once powered the Industrial Revolution that fueled Britain's rise to become a global empire, and only a decade ago, coal powered 40% of the country's electricity, but changing climate policies in the last 10 years have triggered a rapid decline in its use. Key measures, including the EU's carbon trading scheme and the UK's own carbon tax initiative in 2013, made coal generation just too expensive to use. Rather, renewable sources like wind and solar have taken the lead in electricity generation in the UK, and since 2012, the UK power sector has achieved a remarkable 75% reduction in emissions, demonstrating the swift transition towards cleaner energy. Now, as we've demonstrated in this video, there's a huge amount of uncertainty in the world of politics and current affairs, often with very few easy solutions. Unfortunately, this can be the case online too. There are all kinds of bad actors out there who want to try and use you to make a quick buck. Take, for instance, data brokers. They collect, aggregate, and sell your personal information, including names, aliases, social security numbers, login credentials, home addresses, location history, online activity, and more, to the highest bidder. This can result in everything from spam to identity theft. Luckily for you though, there's a solution: Incogni. They work on your behalf to request your personal data removal. They also deal with any objections, and to make sure that your personal information isn't shared by the data brokers again, they conduct repeated removal requests. And with their friends and family plan, they'll even do this for you and up to 3 of your, friends and family. So create an account with our link in the description, grant Incogni the ability to work on your behalf, and sit back as they make you safer. Plus, if you use our link, you'll get an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Thanks for checking it out, and thanks to Incogni for sponsoring this video.